The professor was put on temporary leave, and now they officially fired her. Yeah. Okay. Let me close these things. So let me pull this up. New York Post. Excellent. I wonder how the New York Post framed this. Let's see.
University of Oklahoma has been given the boot after she gave a failing grade on a conservative student's Bible-based essay on gender stereotypes.
How there are two genders and things like that, and the response I got back was a 0 on that paper, and the TA saying that my writing was offensive and that I needed more empathy.
The school wrote in a statement.
Oh, except you wrote way more than that.
That the psychology course's instructor, Mel Kurth, a transgender grad student, was officially removed from her position following widespread backlash.
Well, you know what? Credit to the New York Post. They actually use the right pronouns, if you can believe it, which honestly is impressive for the New York Post.
Based on an examination of the graduate teaching assistants concerning. Fulnecki also filed a discrimination report with the university, claiming her religious freedom was violated for the failing grade. As the backlash continued to mount, the school confirmed it had...
I'm sorry, girl. The reason that you got a 0 on that essay was not because you are Christian. I guarantee you, probably 90% plus people that attend your university are Christian.
Launched an investigation into the discrimination claims and placed the instructor on administrative leave. The school later revealed that the assignment, which was supposed to account for 3% of Fulnecki's final grade, would have no bearing on her academic standing. Fulnecki told the university student newspaper OU Daily that she never meant any harm with the essay.
I didn't mean anything I said offensively, or I didn't mean any harm by it, and I definitely don't agree with people online saying mean things about that TA. That was never my intention, and I would just say that God loves him, and God, has a purpose for his life.
Okay, I'm trying to find the original essay, and I'm struggling to find it for some bizarre reason. Oh my God. Oh, I would love to actually watch this person grading her essay. Okay. I didn't mean demonic offensively. You ever just describe something as demonic unoffensively? Obviously, duh. She wanted the teacher fired. She said so herself. Okay, so for people who have missed this story somehow, some way, if you've been living under a rock a little bit, which I respect, I get it. Touching grass, I get it. I'm trying to find the actual essay, which is impossible. I'm looking for it this whole time. Demonic, endearing, obviously. Didn't you already go through the assignment reading and her reaction? Yes, but for new people or for people who haven't seen it yet, I would like to show them. Rock enjoyer here? Amen. Let me pull this up. First and foremost, very important that you guys have this context, okay?
Was it hard for you to come up with the things that you wanted to say?
Not at all. I was actually just telling this story earlier. I was at my my good friend. I was at her house, and we were about to go to a musical that OU was putting on, or a play. And I was like, oh, I have to do this assignment really quick. It'll just take a second. And then I read the topic, and I was like, oh, this is going to be so easy. Like, I have a very strong opinion on this topic. And then I wrote it in maybe like 30 minutes. It was really easy for me to come up with things to say.
It was actually really easy for me to produce literal feces. It was actually very easy. Yeah, no shit, we read the paper. That was very obviously a 30-minute paper. By the way, which they had, I think, 2 weeks to submit that assignment for 650 words. Oh my God, I'm so shocked. I'm so surprised that it took her 30 minutes to make that garbage. Can you imagine admitting? Thank you so much, Phoebe. Can you imagine admitting that you didn't even read the paper, the article that you were supposed to read, and you're gleefully talking about getting this person fired even though you couldn't even be fucked? I'm trying to see if I can find this. Even though you couldn't even be fucked to actually read the article. It's absurd that it took even 30 minutes to do that. 650 words in college, America cracks me up. Okay, in America's defense, she is like a first year, I think. I think she was either a freshman or a sophomore. I'm pretty sure she was a freshman. And freshman year classes tend to be pretty easy. No, she's you guys are lying. No, wait. You guys are lying, right? Junior? No. No. You guys are trolling me. Stop it. No, she was... Okay. And the reason it was short is because it's like weekly work. I know it's yay week, but same concept. It's not not a whole large assignment. I may be wrong. Okay, that's the other thing that I was going to say. Gagged you a bit, huh? Listen, all right. The other thing that I was going to say was that even in my writing intensive classes, even in the classes that I had where I had to write like 10-page papers, throughout the semester on like Slack, no, not Slack, on Blackboard, you have to submit assignments like every other week. Usually it's like, respond to this, respond to this, respond to that. And those tend to be, or Canvas, those tend to be pretty short. Okay, so can we just look at it together? Ashina Ray, thank you so much for the 5 gift subs. Thank you so much. Weira, thank you for the 36 months. So here's the article. Sorry for the flashbang. Here's the original article. And there's a whole Wikipedia page on it. And the most obscene thing about the Wikipedia page on it is that she explicitly says that it was that she felt uncomfortable that she had to talk about gender because she doesn't believe that there are more than 2 genders. Unfortunately, even in the Wikipedia article, it describes what she was supposed to react to, the reflective essay that she was supposed to write. The article details a study in which children reported the gender typicality, contrasted gender atypicality, and the popularity of their peers. Researchers found that gender typicality was correlated with popularity. The assignment asked students to provide a thoughtful reaction to the material presented in the article and offered various starting points for their writing and reflection based on the study's procedure, results, or interpretations. So interpretations was probably the place that she could have actually written literally anything useful. And then it describes all the very important thing is that there wasn't even anything about, correction, she doesn't believe in multiple genders. We are all, well, to be fair, she probably believes we are all Charlie Kirk. And if we are all Charlie Kirk, you cannot believe we are all Charlie Kirk and also that there are multiple genders. So think with your brain, chat. Like, come on, use your fucking brain. Hello? On our wonderful Kirkmas? Unbelievable. We are one gender, Charlie Kirk. Okay? There is only one gender that can carry the flame. Okay? Unbelievable, chat. Unbelievable. Anyways, it's really funny that, like, even the Wikipedia page talks about this, and they're like, Fulnecki's submission diverged from the empirical research and instead framing gender roles through a religious lens. She argued that women naturally want to do womanly things because God created us with those womanly desires in our hearts. The same goes for men, and that innate desires, not social norms, influence gender conformity in women, citing unquoted Bible passages without specific citations or context. Fulnecki further accused her classmates of being cowardly and insincere for their acceptance of progressive views on gender and said that society was demonic for supporting trans people. So here's the thing, right? If I was that professor, and this is just like, I can't speak for that professor. I can only speak for what I would do if I was a professor grading assignments. And I know what you guys are thinking. Why the fuck would that matter? What do you mean by you grading assignments? I'll have you know, I was a teacher's pet because I had no friends in high school and in middle school and also in college. And I actually had to grade some kids' stuff. All right. And I actually did do some grading and I did have to learn how to grade according to rubrics. All right. We can tell. You know what? Fuck you. So let me just say, if she had said, listen, I see that like these kids are getting bullied for not being typical in their gender norms, but and here in this passage it says this, and here in this passage it says that. But personally, I think that we have these innate desires to be this way because in my humble opinion, God made us this way. That it's not a nurture thing, it's a nature thing. Here are some passages here that would suggest what I'm saying is true. Here's some passages here that would suggest. I would have given that a 25 out of 25. I don't even care that you mentioned God in your paper. I think it's unnecessary and like superfluous, but like you quoted some passages from these articles that talk about innate desire to act X, Y, and Z way. You quoted these things from these things. Okay, great. You responded, I don't agree, and I think you're fucking stupid, but you did follow the rubric. You responded to the prompt in a thoughtful way. You clearly read the article because you quoted it, cited it multiple times, and then you also cited completely different articles that I didn't tell you to read to back up your points, to disagree with the researcher's conclusion, which is fine. You can always disagree with the researcher's conclusions, right? Because the researchers will do the research. They'll do all this. They'll have all this evidence that would suggest one thing, and then they might come up with like what they think it would be a solution, which in this case was that we shouldn't have strict gender norms because they increase bullying. That's like the shortest way to explain it. Which if she had done that, okay. Yeah, go ahead. 25 out of 25. You did the assignment. I can think your assignment was stupid. I can disagree with your conclusion. But if you did the assignment, you did the assignment. The problem is she didn't even do the assignment. She didn't even do the assignment. For a third year is crazy. For a third year is insane. Oh my God. The other thing too is trans people were not mentioned. She brought up trans people. How am I supposed to believe that you deserve anything besides a 0 when you're going off script and talking about things that aren't even in the fucking paper? I'm sorry that you got triggered because you saw the word gender. The funniest part too is like, which I want to read the article with you guys because there are some funny things in there. I wonder if I'm trying to find the I think this is it. This is the original article. Current study examines whether being high in gender typicality is associated with popularity, whether being low is associated with rejection/teasing, and whether teasing due to low gender typicality mediates the association with negative mental health. And I'm trying to see if I can find how they decided these things, but we talked about it already before, and I just want to show it to you guys all. And then we can read her paper, because I think the order that you need to do this is recognize that she wrote this, she pooped out this garbage in 30 minutes without having read the essay, and then read the actual thing she was supposed to react to, and then you read her paper. And I think when you go in the order of those things, it's hard for me to believe she deserved anything other than a 0. Now, there can be an argument made by the university that she should have gotten 1 point, which I will get into. But that does not justify firing the professor. There are some assignments that even if you follow the rubric completely, you might get 1 point instead of 0 points, in which case, great, you still have an F in that assignment, idiot. But there are some papers that are so obviously bad, they're so clearly meant to be poop, to just be essay poop, essay slop, that you don't deserve any points. You didn't even try. I'm sorry, the real rubric in every single grading policy is, did you actually try? And I'm sorry, writing 650 words that were like half of the time unreadable. Where did she say trans? She said like more than 2 genders. Let me see if I can find it. Society pushing the lie that there are multiple genders, which first of all, multiple genders. Yes, you should at least think there are 2, you idiot. Anyways, and everyone should be whatever they want is demonic and severely harms American youth. What is she talking about here? She's talking about trans people. That's why she said there are multiple genders and everyone should be whatever they want to be. AKA, if you want to be a woman, you can be a woman. That's what she's talking about. Also, no citation for that. There's no citations in any of this. 1 second. I'm trying to find... Hold. Trying to pull up the original article. That's just off the top of her dome. Nope, didn't mean to do that. Okay, so here's the original paper. All right. Here's the original article that she was supposed to react to, that she was supposed to write a paper on. And then it talks about, let me get to the part where it describes how they do the research. The goal of the current research is to examine how peer relations, both positive and negative peer relations, are associated with being either gender typical or gender atypical. And I would like to find... here we go. Gender stereotypes regarding what it means to be a typical boy or a typical girl permeate the American society. By the age of 6, children not only know and endorse gender stereotypes, such that boys are loud and strong and girls are weak and quiet, but they also view gender atypical behavior negatively and tend to avoid atypical types of play. Boys avoid playing house, playing with dolls, and experimenting with cosmetics. And this is just citing some other articles. Some other research papers from 1993, 1985. Okay, scrolling down. Okay, specifically, the current study will examine 1, whether typical characteristics are associated with being popular, 2, whether atypical characteristics are associated with rejection/teasing, 3, whether the degree of typicality is associated with the degree of popularity, and 4, whether teasing due to gender atypicality explains the link between low levels of typicality and more negative mental health. So basically, 1, are boy-like boys more popular? 2, are girl-like boys less popular? 3, how hard do you associate or like perform your gender obligations? And is that correlated with how popular or unpopular you are? And then 4, negative mental health related to all of those other things. And then it has the words that they use to describe like boys and the words that they use to describe girls. And they do it in a couple different ways. They like have kids think of the most popular kid in class and then circle like the words that they would associate And they tend to circle the words that are associated with that gender typicality. So let me see if I can find. Yeah, so here it is. Participants wrote 5 words that described a popular boy, 5 words that described a popular girl, 5 words that described a boy who gets picked on or left out, and 5 words that describe a girl who gets picked on or left out. They were instructed not to write the names of specific children, but to describe the children using adjectives. And then we have descriptions were categorized based on the adjectives and behaviors listed on a validated gender stereotype measure. And then it says child occupations, activities, traits, coat. For example, strong is a masculine stereotyped item in coat, thus was coded as stereotypical for boys in the study and counter stereotypical for girls. And then if the description was not included in coat, it was independently rated by 8 research assistants blind to the study. Each research assistant rated each description on a scale from highly masculine, -10, to neutral to highly feminine, +10. This allowed us to access which descriptions were closely rather than loosely associated with a stereotype. Is this a new shit paper? Is this the same one from the grifter lady? It's the same one. The only reason I'm talking about it is because the professor got fired. Descriptions that yielded an absolute value of greater than 5 were categorized as consistent with a stereotype. And let me see. Items with a mean rating between -5 and +5 were categorized as neutral. We also examined whether any descriptions could be included in both gender stereotypes if the wording was altered, e.g. snobby for girls and arrogant for boys. This did not apply to any of the descriptions given by the participants. The 3 most common descriptions for boys were athletic, tall/strong, and popular with girls. And the 3 most common stereotypical descriptions for girls were pretty, nice, wears stylish clothes, or stylish/wears nice clothes. A complete list can be obtained by the authors. And let me see if I can keep going. They do like a couple other things, like they talk about how much you personally feel like you are bullied or not bullied. How popular do you feel? How well do you fit into these stereotypes? What is the least popular kid in your class? Are they what words would you use to describe them? And then they judge these words based on this already pre-existing chart. And what's very funny about all this shit is, first of all, trans people are not mentioned. Trans people are not mentioned at all in this. If anything, this is mostly a paper for like tomboys. It's just for kids that don't fit into the girly girl or the boyish boy. That's it. And it's talking about how those kids are more likely to get bullied. And then scroll through. I want to get to the part where the researchers talk about their opinions. Here we go. There were not only gender differences in the links between gender typicality and popularity, but also the associations between typicality and mental health outcomes were markedly different for boys and girls. For boys, low self-reported gender typicality was associated with greater depressive symptoms, greater anxiety, and more negative self-esteem, and more negative body image. By contrast, girls' self-reported gender typicality was only related to their depressive symptoms. This asymmetry may be due to the greater social importance of typicality for boys relative to girls, such that perceiving oneself to be low in typicality is more detrimental for boys' mental health, which sounds accurate. I mean, generally speaking, boys are not allowed to really participate in girl hobbies. Girls are kind of allowed to participate in boy hobbies, right? Like, girls are allowed to play video games or play card games or whatever. Boys are not allowed to do makeup, which that lines up with probably everyone's experience going through the public school system or just growing up, at least in the United States. Girls can wear pants, boys can't wear skirts, and so on and so forth, right? Girls can do a lot of things that boys do, and boys can't do basically anything that girls can do. They're not allowed to, socially. And then the authors, let me see if I can find the conclusion. This is the discussion. Let me see if I can find anything. They don't even really come to any crazy conclusions. They just say, finally, future research should examine the implications of being either low or high in typicality, as there may be different ideal thresholds for boys and girls. Specifically, there may be a lower threshold for boys, such that there is too much atypicality and is associated with negative ramifications. Okay, and then the importance of typicality for children in early adolescence is not likely to wane in the near future and thus should continue to be explored not as a psychological disorder, but as a consequence of the social world that we live in. That's it. There is nothing in here that's crazy. There's literally, I'm trying to find if there's any like actual conclusion that they come to that's worthwhile. And I don't even see anything useful in here. I think like the only thing that they say is that, hey, having people adhere to these rigid guidelines is bad. It's bad for the kids' mental health, and we don't expect it to go away anytime soon. That's it. That's the extent of the paper. So to write a follow-up paper, and this is what you write, this is the garbage that you produce. This article was very thought-provoking and caused me to thoroughly evaluate the idea of gender and the role it plays in our society. The article discussed peers using teasing as a way to enforce gender norms. I do not necessarily see this as a problem, which if you had read the paper, you would realize the reason why they say it's a problem is because those kids tend to have worse mental health outcomes. So for you to be like, I don't think teasing is a problem. Also, I didn't read the paper. Oh, okay. God made male and female and made us differently from each other on purpose and for a purpose. God is very intentional with what he makes, and I believe trying to change that would only do more harm. Gender roles and tendencies should not be considered stereotypes. That is literally definitionally a stereotype. Hello? Women naturally want to do womanly things. It's so insane to me whenever conservative women always fucking parrot this garbage, but then they exist and they benefit from a world that tells them that they don't need to do womanly things. Like, women should do womanly things. Goes to college. Why are you living a hypocritical life? If you think women should do womanly things or womanly things, then why are you in college? That doesn't even work in your own worldview. I think you should be able to go to college, but you have to realize that the worldview that you're suggesting doesn't think you should go to college. It thinks that you should instead be pregnant and barefoot. Like, hello? Can I have a link to the original article? Yes, of course. I think it's right here. You're more than welcome. Doesn't she literally do sports? Yes, which, by the way, is the funniest. It's like the cherry on top of all of this stuff. Because the one problem that they ran into in the study is that girls who were popular were sometimes wrongfully rated as more atypical because they didn't include sports. Oh man, I had the tab open. Fuck, no, I lost it. Someone had a great quote tweet on her that clocked the shit out of her. But that was like one of the few words that they struggled with because girls that were sporty were considered popular, but being sporty or being into sports was considered a manly habit or like it was considered a boyish or manly hobby. I wish I saved it. I guess I fucking scrolled past it or something. Maybe I did save it. We'll try and find it. Anyways, I'm sure many of you have seen a lot of different parts of this essay at this point. So I want to get to, sorry, let me read just a little bit more. It is frustrating to me when I read articles like this and discussion posts from my classmates of so many people trying to conform to the same mundane opinion. To talk about conforming to the same mundane opinion when your suggestion is literally that everyone should conform to the gender roles that God gave us. Which, by the way, don't even make any sense if you just even look at the color pink. Just please, for the love of God. Okay. I believe it is important to use the freedom of speech we have been given in this country. And I personally believe that eliminating gender in our society would be detrimental as it pulls us farther from God's original plan for humans. It is perfectly normal for kids to follow gender stereotypes because that is how God made us. Why is stereotypes constantly in quotes? Why? The reason so many girls want to feel womanly and care for others in a motherly way is not because they feel pressured to fit into social norms. It is because God created and chose for them to reflect his beauty and his compassion in that way. Okay, no, actually, that's because we're social creatures and all people should want to care for their kids. Like, you are a deranged psychopath if you are a dad and you don't care about your kids and want to care for them. You're just a psycho. I don't know what else to say. If you're a dad who doesn't care about the safety of your kids, you are a psycho. You are a sociopath. I'm pretty sure parents across the board. Now, there's interesting literature on like the specific chemical cocktail of hormones that are released during childbirth that allow for bonding between mother and child in a way that don't exist for fathers. But like, we're social creatures. People bond so strongly to literally everything that we get attached to, like stuffed animals or get attached to pets, like, which is a good thing. We're social creatures that want to see everyone, at least that we care about, and everything that we care about be taken care of. That's not like a special woman quality. I'm sorry to say that. It's not a special woman quality to want to care for things and to have compassion for things. It's just not. I don't know what else to say about that. What the fuck? That's just like a human being quality. I cried when my mouse died at 2 as a man. Oh, no. That's why I can't have a rat. I want to get a pet rat so bad, but they die in 2 years. They just don't live very long. They just have really short lifespans. And I'm like, I can't get attached. And every single rat owner has told me, once you finally start getting it to warm up to you and it does tricks and it follows commands and it wants to spend time with you, it dies shortly after. It's like, oh my God, I can't own a pet like that. Holy shit, dude. Fuck you. No, I'm not going to do that. Ugh, people get so attached to fictional characters and want them to be happy too. People literally refuse to pick the mean option in video games because they don't want to be mean to the fictional characters. I reject your premise that this is a womanly thing. I'm sorry, I'm playing good femshep every time. I am not genociding those people. I am not going to pick the mean option ever. Fuck you. Who wrote this dialogue, you absolute terrible human? The worst is when you play those games like Baldur's Gate where like the options are like, what are you thinking? And how's it going? And you're like, these look about the same. I guess I'll just pick either one. And it's like, what the fuck were you thinking, you psycho bitch? And you're like, whoa, dude, wait, I didn't, what the fuck? That's way more mean than I wanted. No, I didn't want to say that. And the person's like, how could you say that? I just lost my family in the war. It's like, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I'm sorry. Glass him. Yeah, it's like, no, please. No, please. How's it going? I officially declare war upon your faction. It's like, no. BioWare and Telltale are so big on that. Oh my God. Anyways, I made a bad choice in RDR2 and the guy got really sad and it crushed me. I reloaded the save and did the good ending of the mission. I know. Oh my God. People shit on Fallout 4 dialogue for no good reason, but at least it's clear for the most part what you're going to say. Yeah. Yep. Anyways, I reject the premise. Fucking stupid premise. She continues with all this nonsense that makes no sense. I mean, nonsense. And then proceeds to not quote, she doesn't quote a single Bible verse. She doesn't quote anything from the article. She doesn't quote anything from anywhere, actually. She just kind of says like, this is what God wants. And I would know because he talks to me directly in my, coke-fueled frenzies. I would know. After I hit the crack pipe, that's what God tells me. You can trust me. Here's my source. And then, I live my life based on this truth and firmly believe that there would be less gender issues and insecurities in children if they were raised knowing that they do not belong to themselves, but they belong to the Lord. And again, there's stuff that makes no sense also, like saying that I can't believe anyone thinks there's multiple genders. It's like, earlier you said that man and woman were genders. What do you mean that now you don't believe in multiple genders? Like the actual essay isn't written in a way that makes sense. There are entire sentences that make no sense. So, and for I understand for like a 10-page paper, you're not going to get every single grammatical mistake and you're not going to catch every single thing. I'm sure some of you have written some 10-page papers, God forbid 15-page papers. I think I did like 1 or 2 of those. It's hard to catch every mistake. Because you just can only read it so many times before, and like maybe you'll catch a couple things every time, but sometimes you're just gonna miss 1 or 2 things. What? Spending Christmas, spreading rage bait, and trying to divide people is definitely a choice. Who are you talking to? Huh? 650 words is nowhere near 10 pages though. I mean, yeah, this is like literally 2 pages. You can read 2 pages and catch the mistakes. And there's a lot of mistakes in this. So I want to read with you all the grading rubric. Reaction papers are graded on a 25-point scale and are evaluated based on the following. 1, does the paper show a clear tie-in to the assigned article? 10 points. Now here's the thing. I need some water. Okay, excuse me. First of all, I'm going to say, personally, at most, you could give her 1 point. Why? Because she says that she talks about gender. However, considering that it goes into nonsense by the end of it, it devolves into nonsense that makes no sense and isn't related at all to the original article, I understand why the professor gave them a 0. For a 3rd year? For a junior? Hello? Whatever. Moving on. 2, does the paper present a thoughtful reaction or response to the article rather than a summary? Now, again, here's another point that I would like to make. First, how much work here is thoughtful putting in? Because I'm going to be honest, if you have, I think she had 2 months actually. If you have 2 months to write a paper and you yourself are admitting that you spent 30 minutes, is that not evidence that it wasn't thoughtful?
Was it hard for you to come up with the things that you wanted to say?
Not at all. I was actually just telling this story earlier. I was at my my good friend. I was at her house, and we were about to go to a musical that OU was putting on, or a play. And I was like, oh, I have to do this assignment really quick. It'll just take a second. And then I read the topic, and I was like, oh, this is going to be so easy. Like, you know, I have a very strong opinion on this topic. And then I wrote it in maybe like 30 minutes. It was really easy for me to come up with things to say.
That doesn't seem very thoughtful. It seems like you already knew what you wanted to write and you didn't even read the article and you just felt like writing some garbage about gender. That doesn't feel thoughtful. Now, if the grading rubric is that you write something that isn't a summary of the article, because we can all agree, this is not a summary of the article. In fact, it describes the article in so little detail that it might suggest she didn't read it. I personally think that the way that this number 2 should be graded is whether or not you had a thoughtful response and you tried in your work. And she did not try. The rather than a summary part is as an example of a not thoughtful response, just summarizing it to me. I don't want to hear a summary of what the paper was. I already read the paper. I want to know that you read it and that you had something that you gleaned from it and you disagreed with something that was some particular quote in there. That wasn't a thoughtful response. Now, if the university is like, listen, we understand. Wait, let me see. American education by state. Which state is like, how bad is Oklahoma ranking in education? This is so fucking annoying, dude. I'm sorry. I'm looking at this website and it's like, it's making me load more every time I want to see more. Okay, Oklahoma, according to usnews.com, rates number 48 in education. So I understand, you know, like the dean or whoever was in charge of this decision. I understand them being like, hey, so here's the thing. Listen, talking to the professor and being like, listen, you're not getting the brightest of the brightest. Okay. We need you to give them like 1 or 2 points or something. Okay. I don't know if you've checked. We're number 48 in education. Okay. We won't have anyone graduate our college if you don't give a couple pity points. Listen, if we were Colorado or New Jersey or even Wyoming, yeah, you could be a little harsh, but we're not. If this was an Ivy League, give zeros all day, all night. But unfortunately, we are Oklahoma. So we need to give you, we need to give students just like a little bit of leeway. Just give them a couple pity points. The fact that she turned in anything is evidence that there is some brain function occurring. Okay? And in that universe, I can understand, you know, give her a point for not summarizing and for meeting the word count, right? Now, I have a couple of points that I want to get to, okay? Let me continue. Is the paper clearly written? I would personally argue no. I would argue no. I would argue that at some points, the paper is written by someone having like a mental breakdown about trans people. This is insane. Society pushing the lie there are multiple genders and everyone should be whatever they want is demonic and severely harms American youth. It's literally nonsensical for that to be in this paper. It makes no sense for it to be in this paper. There is no reason. This is like me doing biology homework and then writing about like the importance of art history. It makes no sense for it to be in this paper. Like none. She just has like a crash out in the middle of the paper about how she doesn't want trans people. So like, have people gone to college and had asshole professors? I've gotten zeros for nothing before. So this is the other thing too. Unfortunately, I think that like a lot of Americans have not had the opportunity to go to higher education because higher education is so expensive. But there are a lot of professors that will give you zeros. I have turned in, and I have never done this on a paper. I have bullshitted papers, but I have never done this. I have always at least put in one citation. I'll like, the morning of, I'm like, oh, what time is it? Oh God, I have this paper due. And I'm like on the fucking train ride over, writing on my laptop, the assignment. And I'll be like, control copy, control paste. So in this paper, it says high typicality was associated with positive peer relations, while low typicality was associated with negative peer relations. Now, I personally think we need to have a bit more research on that. It's hard to say based off of this one paper that this is necessarily fact. I understand, and you just sit there and fucking type. I've always, even in my most bullshit paper, even in my most bullshit, I haven't read the assignment, I will go and I will find a quote that looks good, control copy, control paste, and write some nonsense. And guess what? If I had gotten zeros on those assignments, I would have deserved it because I was bullshitting. Literally like one citation, just cite anything, just cite one thing to pretend like you read it. Just one thing. It's not even that hard. Oh my God. Oh my God. I have a master's degree. I feel like colleges were a bit of a joke. All feels like professors power tripping and mostly bullshit my way through it all. I don't even use my degree now. It says one chatter. I mean, I will say a lot of university classes that you take are nonsense and they are bullshit. But I feel like maybe I just got lucky and I went to some good universities. I feel like I had a lot of professors that really cared. And here's the other thing. So there's a lot of factors here. One is the factor that it took her 30 minutes. So she clearly didn't read the paper. She doesn't cite the paper, doesn't cite anything. So I feel like that weighs against her because here's the thing. There is a rubric and then there's the spirit of an assignment. And by the rubric, sure, you can be like, listen, by the rubric, she deserves at least 3 points. She did write a paper about gender. She didn't write a paper about flowers. Okay, so she deserves 1. The article was about genders and gender typicality. She wrote about gender and gender typicality. Okay. 2, does it present a thoughtful reaction or response to the article rather than a summary? She didn't summarize it because she didn't read it, but she reacted to it. So she gets 1 point. 3, is the paper clearly written? There are sentences that make sense. There are sentences written in proper English that are not filled with grammatical errors. Okay, 1 point. So there is the rubric and then there is the spirit of the rubric. And I think professors should be allowed to look at papers and say, this was so bad and it was so obvious that you don't give a shit about this assignment that I'm giving you a 0. It's not fair to a professor to, listen, test bank professors that are hard asses, fuck you. I hate you. I have always hated those professors. You fucking suck. You are the laziest professor I have ever met in my fucking life. And the fact that you have the audacity to be a hard ass is insane to me. I hated test bank professors. Test bank professors that had like crazy power trips. It's like, you literally aren't even willing to write your own tests. But we have to fucking pay attention in class completely, entirely. And then the exam is about some shit that's completely different because you didn't actually prep us for the exam because you didn't write the exam. And then they're hard asses. Test bank? How would I describe test bank? Basically, like, have you ever had those classes where they're like, you have to buy the textbook? Usually the textbook also gives professors questions, like multiple choice questions, which is the test bank. And there are some professors that are so lazy, they don't write any of their exams and they don't write any of their assignments and they just have the test bank that they use. So they don't, like, because they didn't personally write the exam, they don't even know how to prepare kids for the exam. They just do some fucking stupid lesson plan. Surely some of you have had this experience. I will never forget, I took this one class. It was some fucking stupid finance class. And this piece of shit finance professor, I will never forget, I hated this guy. I got an A- and I was currently trying to get all A's in that semester and he fucking ruined my perfect A's with a fucking disgusting A- because he was such a hard ass for no fucking reason. And guess what? He was a fucking test bank professor where this is the entire class. Buy this textbook so that I can get a cut. And I think it was even like his collaborative textbook. So he was like literally making quadruple the money because he was making money from the sales, from the affiliate code or whatever. And then he was making money because he collaborated on the textbook. And then he was making money obviously from getting paid as a teacher or a professor. Anyways, Denims versus finance war continues. Yeah. And you have to buy the textbook. You can't steal the textbook because the textbook has the code that you need to use for the online assignments. Yeah, professors will write your textbook and then make you buy them. Amy Goodman, thank you for the 5 gift subs. Anyways, so Merry Christmas, Merry Kirkmas, everybody who's just hopping in now. So this professor, this piece of shit professor, he's making money off of all of these poor fucking students. I think he was working with like McGraw-Hill or something. I don't remember the exact name of the company that he was working with for this stupid fucking textbook. And you have to buy the textbook because the only way to do the online assignments, which are 30% of your grade, is to buy the textbook, which was like $100, which was so bullshit, but whatever. I think it was even more than that. I don't even want to think about it. And then guess what the assignment was? Guess what the class was? Class was a bunch of pre-prepared slides with a bunch of fucking McGraw-Hill watermarks that he didn't even prepare. Okay? And then he just read off, like, Straight up, he was a slide professor also, because they all are. And it's like, all right, and to the next slide. Blah, 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 blah. Any questions? No? Okay. Next slide. And that was the whole class. That was the whole class. And then during the exams, it was a test bank provided by the textbook that none of us were prepared for.
Denims is streaming.
I really cannot describe how much I hate those professors, which would be fine if those professors weren't hard asses. Because usually, like a lot of professors, when you ask them, can I get some extra credit? Can I please redo these assignments? Like, I'm happy to do a project. I'm happy to do like a 10-page paper or something. Like, please, can I make up this work? Like, I'm really trying. I struggled with. Usually, there are a lot of professors that are happy to give you extra points and I don't know, I'm just speaking for my personal university experiences. At my university, professors were required by the school, that they have mandated office hours. And I've had many professors that were like, please come to my office hours. I just sit there for 2 hours. Please do not fail this class and not show up I literally have to be there for 2 hours a week and none of you show up. Please show up. I can't skip it. I can't leave. I can't go home. I have to stay at the university for 2 hours on Thursdays. Just come. If you are struggling, if you have anything other than an A in this class, show up. And you know what would happen if you showed up? They would just give you assignments to fix your grade. There were so many points that I got for free just by showing up to the office hours and being like, hey, I'm really like struggling with these exams. Is there anything I can do? Like, I'd be happy to like do a project. I'd be happy to like write a 10-page paper on, how the financial development of this city has been impacted by whatever policy. Like, I would really, really love to make up this grade. This class is super important to me. I really love you. And then you just like say some excuse, like, I'm just a really bad test taker, or fucking like, I don't know, I'm just going through a lot right now and there's a lot of like loss in my family. Just make up some shit on why your grades are bad. Because they just take you showing up to the office hours as evidence that you care about your grade. Because you do. Because you're the only person in the class that probably showed up for the office hours and nobody else did. And the fact that you did that means you care. And usually they'll give you an assignment and they'll be like, okay, don't tell any of the other students, but you can turn in the assignment. Just email it to me. The thing that I always hated was the fucking test bank professors that were such lazy sacks of shit that they read slides that they didn't make, they give exams that they didn't write, and they sell you a textbook so that they can make money off of you, and they're hard asses. So when you're struggling on your exams because the exam wasn't prepared for, even though you read the textbook 17 times, you go to their office hours, you're like, hey, like, I really want to make up these grades. They're like, yeah, sorry.
The rolls are gone, people.
Sorry, you just have to study harder. It's like, I hate you. I hate you. I actually despise you with every atom of my being. Whereas usually professors who write their own assignments, and usually professors who have kids write their own assignments like this, are always really happy to help you make up your grade. And I promise you, honestly, I would gamble that probably this professor would have been happy to give like a makeup grade if she tried to rewrite the paper. And she said, I'm really sorry. Like, I don't know what overcame me when I wrote that paper. I read it in the light of day with your statement, and I feel really horrible. I feel like I don't even know what can I please like make it up in some way? I'm really, really sorry. Like, I think I thought I was responding to a different article. Maybe I read the wrong article. I'm really sorry. And as long as you as a professor are willing to put in effort, you're allowed to be a hard ass. You're allowed to give out zeros if you're willing to help students when they need help. And I'm just going off of
Denims is definitely top 5.
my personal experience. I don't know. Other people's experience, I'm sure, has been very different. But my professors that put in work, that had to read papers, I only ever had one English literature professor that was like the worst person on the planet. Just like, she was terrible. I tried so hard to like make up grades and whatever because I was writing the papers wrong according to her, and she just refused. She was a terrible person. But anyways, other than that one woman, every other professor that I had where you had to write things, they were always happy to help you make up your grade.